Disabling the encryption is an executive order. It takes 2 alpha-level members.
Don't worry. Company's coming.
Did you get my flower? I'm glad you're here, Nick.
Really? Because I thought you had me killed.
You know how the game works.
So why make me head of S.H.I.E.L.D.?
Because you were the best and the most ruthless person I ever met.
I did what I did to protect the people.
Our enemies are your enemies, Nick. Disorder, war. Just a matter of time before a dirty bomb goes off in Moscow or an EMP fries Chicago. Diplomacy? Holding action, Nick. Band-Aid. And you know where I learned that. Bogota. You didn't ask, you just did what had to be done. I can bring order to the lives of 7 billion people by sacrificing 20 million. It's the next step, Nick.
We have heard that 500,000 children have died. I mean, that's more children than died in Hiroshima. And you know, is the price worth it?
I think this is a very hard choice, but we think the price is worth it.
You have the courage to take it?
No, I have the courage not to.
Retinal scanner active.
You don't think we've wiped your clearance from the system?
I know you erased my password, probably deleted my retinal scan. But if you want to stay ahead of me, Mr. Secretary, you need to keep both eyes open.
Alpha level confirmed. Encryption code accepted. Safeguards removed.
It's quite close, isn't it?
Message? Yeah, from Michelle. How very amusing. So we like to watch it together?
Yes.
Let's have a look.
Hey, Prince Harry. Remember when you told us to bring it at the Invictus Games?
Careful what you wish for.
Boom.
Oh, really? Please.
Boom.
Sally, we've heard in the last hour that Iran's president and foreign minister have both died in a helicopter crash. President Ebrahim Raisi was heading to the city of Tabriz in the northwest of Iran after returning from a visit to the border with neighbouring Azerbaijan, where he'd been inaugurating a new dam project. The aircraft crashed in a remote mountainous region and dense fog then hampered efforts to find it.
Donald Trump is such an egomaniac, he makes Hitler seem like he wasn't completely sure how he felt about Jewish people. And now you're going to run for president. Don't you think that's a really cool idea, you guys? You'll keep him honest. You'll keep him honest, Donald. Personally, I hope you win, because I can't wait for the the inauguration.
But even as we grasp at victory, there is a cancer, an evil tumor, growing, spreading in our midst. Shout! Shout! Shout out!
I continue to be much more concerned when it comes to our security with the prospect of a nuclear weapon going off in Manhattan.
It matters not how straight the gate, how charged the punishment, the scroll. I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul. What a magnificent soul it was.
Careful what you wish for.
Invictus, everywhere you find it associated with bombings, war, and the maiming of human beings. Even the Invictus Games themselves are for our wounded warriors, wounded in war, no doubt by bombs.
In the world of 1984, a running and near comical theme is the shifting alliance and enemy arrangement between the three great superstates of the world. In the novel, the war shifts, and since the enemy of the moment is always cast as the epitome of evil, and the party always right in its decisions, no shift in geopolitical reality can be tolerated, hence the infamous phrase, Oceania is at war with Eurasia. Oceania has always been at war with Eurasia, or vice versa. Interestingly though we do see changes during the plot and have Winston recall changes in the war over the years, it's never admitted whether Oceania is the one targeted by an alliance of the other two. So is this a thing? Do Eurasia and Eastasia ever ally against Oceania? Welcome to 1984 Lore, and today we delve more into the speculative sphere of the world, though firmly based on what the lore implies. To answer this question right off the bat, I would have to say no, the war is never simply the other two superstates against just Oceania. However, this must be qualified and within the context of the universe, and, in particular, the ideology of INGSOC. This is crucial in understanding why, at least from both the party and also Winston's perspective, the war is always fought in alliance with either Eurasia or Eastasia.
His name.
So when I saw the new Top Gun movie, I was enraged. I'm a middle-aged American, so I really enjoyed the film's waiting and nostalgia and action tropes. It was fun, but it was also a propaganda film making the case for an unprovoked, illegal attack on Iran. It explicitly said so, and even included lines talking about how Iran had violated an arms deal, not the United States.
Drone attacks sparking major fires at one of the world's largest oil processing facilities in Saudi Arabia. The billowing smoke seen in these satellite images. Houthi rebels in Yemen claiming responsibility for the attack, saying they were able to exploit vulnerabilities in Saudi Arabia's air defense system.
These are $10,000, $20,000 drones that are defeating air defense systems that cost hundreds of millions of dollars.
Secretary of State Mike Pompeo directly blaming Iran, tweeting, Tehran is behind nearly 100 attacks on Saudi Arabia. Amid all the calls for de-escalation, Iran has now launched an unprecedented attack on the world's energy supply. This could heighten tensions between the U.S. and Iran.
10 days after 9/11, I went through the Pentagon and I saw Secretary Rumsfeld and Deputy Secretary Wolfowitz. I went downstairs just to say hello to some of the people on the joint staff who had used to work for me, and one of the generals called me and he said, "Sir, you got to come in and talk to me a second." I said, "Well, you're too busy." He said, No. He says, "We've made the decision. We're going to war with Iraq." This was on or about the 20th of September. I said, "We're going to war with Iraq. Why?" He said, "I don't know." He said, "I guess they don't know what else to do." So I said, "Well, did they find some information connecting Saddam to Al-Qaeda?" He said, No. He says, "There's nothing new that way. They've just made the decision to go to war with Iraq." He said, "I guess it's like we don't know what to do about terrorists, but we've got a good military and we can take down governments." And he said, "I guess if the only tool you have is a hammer, every problem has to look like a nail."
What this represents?
Tell us, sir.
Maybe it's the calm before the storm.
What's the storm?
Could be the calm before the storm.
What storm?
We have the world's great military people in this room, I will tell you that. And we're going to have a great evening. Thank you all for coming.
What storm, Mr. President?
You'll find out.
Give us a hint of your answers.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you very much.
The images are not reassuring for a country weary of engagement in the Middle East.
Here, troops from the 82nd Airborne, one by one, were being counted onto military flights bound for Kuwait, all in anticipation of a likely Iranian counterstrike. At the same time, their commander-in-chief was meeting with the Greek Prime Minister today, and a short time ago claimed that by ordering the assassination of Qasem Soleimani, he had done the Iranians, the region, and the world a favor.
He's been called a monster, and he was a monster. And he's no longer a monster, he's dead. And that's a good thing for a lot of countries. And he was planning a very big attack and a very bad attack for us and other people, and we stopped him. And I don't think anybody can complain about it.
Only with the deepest reluctance does he now appear to accept that bombing Iranian heritage sites should be off limits.
But think of it, they kill our people, they blow up our people, and then we have to be very gentle with their cultural institutions. But I'm okay with it. It's okay with me. I will say this, if Iran does anything that they shouldn't be doing, they're going to be suffering the consequences, and very strongly.
At stake is the future of the world, and nothing could imperil our common future more than the arming of Iran with nuclear weapons. In the case of Iran's nuclear plans to build a bomb, this bomb has to be filled with enough enriched uranium. And Iran has to go through 3 stages. The first stage, they have to enrich enough low-enriched uranium. The second stage, they have to enrich enough medium-enriched uranium. And the third stage and final stage, they have to enrich enough high-enriched uranium for the first bomb. Where's Iran? Iran's completed the first stage. Took them many years, but they completed it, and they're 70% of the way there. Now they're well into the second stage. And by next spring, at most, by next summer, at current enrichment rates, they will have finished the medium enrichment and move on to the final stage. From there, it's only a few months, possibly a few weeks, before they get enough enriched uranium for the first bomb. Ladies and gentlemen, what I've told you now is not based on secret information. It's not based on military intelligence. It's based on the public reports of the International Atomic Energy Agency. Anybody could read them. They're online.
No, I never discussed increasing it. I want it in perfect shape. That was just fake news by NBC, which gives a lot of fake news lately. No, I never discussed. I think somebody said I want 10 times the nuclear weapons that we have right now. Right now we have so many nuclear weapons. I want them in perfect condition, perfect shape. That's the only thing I've ever discussed. General Mattis put out a statement, or is putting out a statement, saying that that was fake news, that it was just mentioned that way. And it's frankly disgusting the way the press is able to write whatever they want to write.
So I came back to see him a few weeks later, and by that time we were bombing in Afghanistan. I said, "Are we still going to war with Iraq?" And he said, "Oh, it's worse than that." He said, he reached over on his desk, he picked up a piece of paper, and he said, I just got this down from upstairs, meaning the Secretary of Defense's office today, and he said, this is a memo that describes how we're going to take out 7 countries in 5 years, starting with Iraq and then Syria, Lebanon, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, and finishing off Iran. The truth is about the Middle East is, had there been no oil there, it would be like Africa. Nobody is threatening to intervene in Africa. The problem is the opposite. We keep asking for people to intervene and stop it. And there's no question that the presence of petroleum throughout the region has sparked great power involvement. Whether that was the specific motivation for the coup or not, I can't tell you, but there's always been this attitude that somehow we could intervene and use force in the region.
With the latest, Graham Satchell reports.
Search teams have been scouring the mountains of northwest Iran all night. Thick fog and heavy rain hampered their efforts, but in the early hours of this morning, a drone sent by Turkey identified a source of heat. Footage shows an aerial view of a landscape at night and a dark blotch on what appears to be a hillside. When rescuers eventually reached the wreckage on foot, they found the helicopter which had been carrying Iran's president and the foreign minister was completely burned with no signs of life. And in the last hour, confirmation that both Iran's President Ebrahim Raisi and the foreign minister have been killed in the crash. President Raisi, seen here on the left, had been visiting a dam project. This is footage of him earlier in the day, travelling in a convoy of 3 helicopters.
You they hate because they don't have your will, they don't have your soul, they don't have your heart. They don't control your destiny. They sure as hell don't control mine. So we're trying to hold the dam against the Satanists and the armies of hell, and we pray to Jesus Christ and our Heavenly Father to lead, God, and direct us against this enemy. But I need money to fight a war, and I need word of mouth, and I need prayer, and I need action, because that dam's going to come down. That dam's already got holes in it. And the enemy's telling you, don't stick your fingers in it, don't block it, everything's fine. Peaches and cream are on the other side. No! You know it's not peaches and cream. Trump's told you hell's coming, one way or another. The only question is, do we have a president in the middle of the fight against the New World Order, or is it going to be us that does it? But we know we're not giving up.
But just how compelling was the intelligence that Soleimani presented an immediate threat?
Strong evidence and strong intelligence, and unfortunately we're not going to be able to get into sources and methods at this time. It was imminent. It was an imminent threat.
But the National Security Advisor became tongue-tied when asked for specifics.
Look, the Iranians have been making threats publicly every day.
No, the press should speak more honestly. I mean, I've seen tremendously dishonest press. It's not even a question of distortion, like the question that was just asked before about 10 times the nuclear capability. I know the capability that we have, believe me, and it is awesome. It is massive. And so when they make up stories like that, that's just made up. And the generals will tell you that. And then they have their sources that don't exist. In my opinion, they don't exist. They make up the sources. There are no sources.
I mean, I wouldn't mind being conquered by Switzerland right now. Hooked up at the Psych Warfare Center run by the Pentagon at UT. I'm not even supposed to talk about the fact I've been let in there repeatedly. These guys were like colonels in the Army and Air Force generals, and I'd go to these meetings when I was like 18 with the former Marine Corps 3-star general or a former 3-star Air Force weapons head, or, you know, and they're like telling you this stuff, and you're like, what? And they're like, listen, they tried to recruit us. You're going to have to get ready. I remember being 4 years old with like an FBI agent and an Army colonel and all these people at my dad's house. And they're all sitting around the table talking about this and how do we beat it. And just all these decades later, 40 years later, it's all true.
But perhaps with all your jetting around, you have not had chance to peruse today's headlines. I rather like the last one. It isn't even mine.
The first indication that something had gone wrong came on state-run television.
There are unconfirmed reports of an incident involving the helicopter carrying the president in the Julfa region. Initial reports cite a hard landing for the helicopter carrying the president.
Ebrahim Raisi became the Iranian president in 2021. He was responsible for tightening morality laws and oversaw a ruthless crackdown of anti-government protests. He was seen as a potential successor to the supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. His death will have a profound impact on Iran and the wider Middle East. Graham Satchell, BBC News.
I never believe what I read in the press anyway.
Therein lies your problem, Mr. Bond. You see, we're both men of action, but your era and Miss Lynn's is passing. Words are the new weapons. Satellites, the new artillery.
And you become the new Supreme Allied Commander?
Exactly. Caesar had his legions, Napoleon had his armies.
Napoleon, Alexander the Great, Donald Trump. We're all cut from the same cloth.
I have my divisions. TV, news, magazines. And by midnight tonight, I'll have reached and influenced more people than anyone in the history of this planet, save God himself.
Masks, no masks, everything, you can do all you want, but you know, you still need help from the boss. We need help from the boss. Somebody said to me the other day, you're the most famous person in the world by far. I said, no, I'm not. No, I'm not. They said, yes, you are. I said, no. They said, who's more famous? I said, Jesus Christ. any chances. I'm not going to have an argument. Hey, I'm not having any arguments. Jesus Christ. I'm not going to take any chances. I'll give it, I guarantee. And let me look up and I'll say...
Best he ever managed was the Sermon on the Mount.
You really are quite insane.
We'll find out tonight. You gotta be John Cena. You gotta do it for us.
The following contest is scheduled for one fall. Introducing first from the Isle of Samoa, weighing in at 350 pounds, Umaga.
Well, last time Umaga defeated Eugene, who had brought Hacksaw Duggan, Doink the Clown, and Kamala to the ring when he last night at Vengeance King. Yeah, and as you see, the Samoan Bulldozer did a number on poor Eugene. He wasn't finished there. That Samoan spike right to the throat of Jim Duggan, and then Doink the Clown trying to get funny. Oh, there's nothing funny about Umaga. And then look at the interaction between Kamala and Umaga. Umaga wanted to go then and now, but the manager is trying to say, not now, you wait. Well, I think Kamala, the Ugandan giant, wanted a little bit of Umaga.
Ahora, todos, escúchenme. Everybody, listen. To me. Hey, in case you haven't heard the news, my name is Armando Alejandro Estrada. And tonight, we take on the deep.
Uh-oh. Well, this should be quite a spectacle.
Making his way to the ring from Uganda, weighing in at 350 pounds, Kamala.
And being accompanied by his trusty sidekick, Kim Chi. Well, we all remember Kamala's history here in the WWE. He's beaten a lot of great superstars, and like I said last night, it looked like Kamala was certainly not going to back down from Umaga. I couldn't agree more, and I'm shocked. I thought this would be a much more competitive match than what we saw. Check out what happened to poor Kim Chi. Oh, we may have just seen the last of him. And then look at this huge dive clear across the ring with that headbutt right into the side of Kamala's head. Oh, a more spike driven right into the throat, and that was all for Kamala.
Donald Trump has marked his return to the social media platform of Instagram by releasing his first campaign ad since his indictment. Here's a little look at the ad now.
This is a persecution disguised as a prosecution.
I would dismiss it on its face because it fails to state a crime.
The only crime that I've committed is to fearlessly defend our nation from those who seek to destroy it. And now these radical left lunatics want to interfere with our elections by using law enforcement. I have no doubt, nevertheless, that we will make America great again.
Fellow Americans, words have many meanings, and sometimes instead of conveying our meaning, they can suggest other meanings.
When we talk about the children of the community, they are children of the community.
Well, we are the United States of America because we are united. And we are states.
Talking about the significance of the passage of time, right? The significance of the passage of time. So when you think about it, there is great significance to the passage of time.
PlayStation presents Red or Blue.
Ooh, look at that, a red PlayStation, brilliant. This one's better, it's blue. Nah, rather a red, mate. Blue, mate. Red. Blue. Red. Blue.
What colour are you, red
or blue?
That is a horrible question. Give me a break.
My word.
I would have to be a red.
Blue.
Red. I'm a blue. Is that another red? Chalk 'em up!
Whatever we have in store cannot be known. The past was once the future. The future is, I should say, unknown.
We gotta take this stuff seriously as you are, because you have been forced to have to take it seriously.
Obesity is a serious disease, and it needs to be taken seriously.
Man hug. Fellow blue.
Reds winning. I think Blues winning.
Never seen so many men off the Silverview wanted to dance.
Blue moon, you saw me standing alone.
Lady in red.
Everything that's good is blue.
Come on, the Reds.
You need to get to go and need to be able to get where you need to go to do the work and get home.
I hope that clarifies the issue, and this can be the last word on those words.
Certain issues are just settled.
Clearly we're not.
No, that's right. And that's why I do believe that we are living, sadly, in real unsettled times.
What I was suggesting, you're absolutely right that John McCain has not talked about my Muslim faith, and you're absolutely right that that has not come my Christian faith.
I'm not sure this is appropriate, but there's a tradition in America that the president has what is called a command coin that he gives to warriors and leaders, and you are the most significant warrior for peace I've ever met. And with your permission, I'd like to be able to give you a coin.
E con il suo permesso moneta.
It has the U.S. seal on the front, but I know my son would want me to give this to you because on the back of it, I have the state of Delaware, the 261st unit my son served with. Now the tradition is,
E la tradizione
and I'm only kidding about this,
è scherzo.
if next time I see you,
La
you don't
prossima
have
volta,
it,
se lei non la
you
vede
have to
non
buy
ce
the
l'ha,
drinks.
allora lei deve offrirmi da bere.
Now, I'm the only Irishman you've ever met who's never had a drink.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it. I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.
Irlandesi hanno portato il whisky.
I know that.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Stay for me. I will. Thank you. Yes. Thank you, please. Thank you very much. Thank you for that.
Quite simply, these real estate agents who are really good at selling houses, it's just the houses that they specialize in selling are supernatural and haunted. And, Luke has the ability to speak to dead people. I don't know anybody else who does.
No one really does what we do.
Sounds exciting.
Can be.
What exactly do we do?
So real estate is about a real estate group, the Roman agency, that specializes in haunted houses, buying and selling haunted houses. Follows the staff within the Roman agency, Luke, Phil, August, Zoe, and newcomer Susan, who becomes an integral part to the agency. And what can I say? We get the job done.
It's about relationship, it's about dealing with the world we're living in and then dealing in this supernatural world.
This is in essence not a handful of ghost chasers, but rather a team of rare individuals qualified in their specific field, working together, collaborating, problem solving with the end goal of selling a house. End of story.
In fact, the single biggest gap in party affiliation among white Americans today is not between men and women, or those who reside in so-called red states and those who reside in blue, but between those who attend church regularly. I think we make a mistake when we fail to acknowledge the power of faith in people's lives, in the lives of the American people. I think it's time that we join a serious debate about how to reconcile faith with our modern pluralistic society. And if we're going to do that, then we first need to understand that Americans are religious people. 90% of us believe in God. 70% affiliate themselves with an organized religion. 38% call themselves committed Christians.
Ghosts are just a bonus.
The show in 3 words: expel and sell.
In 3 words, I would say uncovering the truth.
Metaphysically engaged property.
Sorry to drop by, so let him hear about the house. Historic 6-bedroom, 4.5 bath multi-level, hardwood floors, lots of custom woodwork.
The house wants to kill me.
Seller motivated.
We're kind of the last resort for people in our own business. No one kind of really wants to associate with us, but we are also the last resort, I think, for a lot of homeowners, but in the opposite way, as in they tried absolutely everything that they possibly could.
That lady ran out of here.
The agent said she saw some sort of apparition floating in the hall.
She's crazy. Aren't you guys supposed to screen out the crazy people?
Well, sadly, the mortgage pre-qualification process only goes so far.
And we're kind of the last resort in that sense, but the best, like we're saviors. So we just kind of like come in and make everything magically work out again.
We once were, we are no longer a Christian nation, at least not just. We are also a Jewish nation, a Muslim nation, and a Buddhist nation.
My personal mission statement is I want to make a difference in the world, one house at a time.
Thank you, Miss Nebraska.
The thing that separates Surreal Estate from other shows is the balance between the humor and the scary. Because if not, it could just be a straight up thriller. We're dealing with some pretty scary stuff and some real issues, but I love that we embrace the comedy.
Who's a good boy?
You are.
Because that's what I would do in real life. If I'm like with my friends and we're out in the woods and it's super late and you're all scared, what's the only thing that makes it okay? It's that one dude who makes a joke.
You regained your faith?
No. But I did shave a few seconds off my best time in the 40.
For some people who see surreal storylines, ghost stories, horror stories as terrifying and tense, then humor is the perfect way to dispel that sort of tension.
So what about the dress?
Red, gingham print, old school. That's it.
And a Hindu nation and a nation of non-believers. And even if we did have only Christians in our midst, if we expelled every non-Christian from the United States of America, whose Christianity would we teach in the schools? Would it be James Dobson's or Al Sharpton's?
You weren't near Wendy's, were you?
It's a beautiful balance and a beautiful way to draw an audience in with that and then sort of let the tension, just sort of let the tension off with a bit of humor.
Maybe it was a crow or something.
Sounds like a raven.
A raven? You're certain?
Nevermore.
I am most excited for viewers to see this world that has been created. It is such a unique show. I've never seen anything like it. I've never read anything like it. I think it's such a brilliant idea that I couldn't believe hadn't been done before in a way. It just seems like it's too good.
There's something so incredible about this show because there's literally a different beast every episode.
Which passages of Scripture should guide our public policy? Should we go with Leviticus, which suggests slavery is okay, and that eating shellfish is an abomination? Or we could go with Deuteronomy, which suggests stoning your child if he strays from the faith? Or should we just stick to the Sermon on the Mount, a passage that is so radical that it's doubtful that our own Defense Department would survive its application?
If I were the devil, if I were the devil, if I were the prince of darkness, I'd want to engulf the whole world in darkness, and I'd have 1/3 of its real estate and 4/5 of its population, but I wouldn't be happy until I had seized the ripest apple on the tree. Thee. So I'd set about, however necessary, to take over the United States. I'd subvert the churches first. I'd begin with a campaign of whispers. With the wisdom of a serpent, I would whisper to you as I whispered to Eve, do as you please. To the young, I would whisper that the Bible is a myth. I would convince them that man created God instead of the other way around. I would confide that what's bad is good and what's good is square. And the old I would teach to pray after me, Our Father, which art in Washington. And then I'd get organized. I'd educate authors in how to make lurid literature exciting so that anything else would appear dull and uninteresting. I'd threaten TV with dirtier movies, and vice versa. I'd peddle narcotics to whom I could. I'd sell alcohol to ladies and gentlemen of distinction. I'd tranquilize the rest with pills.
There's literally a different beast every episode, a supernatural beast. And I mean, sometimes literally it is a beast. You know, a warrior devil dog that needs to be fought and dealt with in a physical manner. But other times it's an internal beast that maybe one of the ghosts is dealing with, or it's the house itself.
Hello! There hasn't been a show before that marries the idea of the paranormal in homes, the horror genre, with a procedural engine of a real estate firm.
If I were the devil, I'd soon have families at war with themselves, churches at war with themselves, and nations at war with themselves.
I want to know how you're dealing with all these conspiracy theorists on your platform.
So the first way is by demoting low-quality content and promoting more authoritative content, and the second is by providing more transparency for users. So we're introducing boxes that provide factual information at the top of results that have shown themselves to turn up a lot of information that is counterfactual, such as searching for the earth is flat on YouTube, where you see a lot of...
Your response is to put a box saying, nope, the earth is not flat.
Correct.
Okay.
If I say that the world is round and someone else says it's flat, that's worth reporting. But you might also want to report on a bunch of scientific evidence that seems to support the notion that the world is round.
If some of these folks were around when Columbus set sail, they must have been founding members of the Flat Earth Society. They would not have believed that the world was round.
1,500 years ago, everybody knew the Earth was the center of the universe. 500 years ago, everybody knew the Earth was flat.
The force field. It's a dome. We're at the edge of the arena.
Although we weren't able to shatter that highest, hardest glass ceiling this time, thanks to you, it's got about 18 million cracks in it. And it may be hard to see tonight, but we are all standing under a glass ceiling right now. And the light is shining through like never before, filling us all with the hope and the sure knowledge that the path will be a little easier next time.
I've spoken of 1,000 points of light, of all the community organizations that are spread like stars throughout the nation doing good. We will work hand in hand, encouraging, sometimes leading, sometimes being led, rewarding. We will work on this in the White House, in the cabinet agencies. I will go to the people and the programs that are the brighter points of light, and I'll ask every member of my government to become involved. The old ideas are new again because they're not old. They are timeless. Duty, sacrifice, commitment, and a patriotism that finds its expression in taking part and pitching in.
I want to see a Swiss system. I mean, I wouldn't mind being conquered by Switzerland right now.
A good person has sent me this. Excellent. This is octagon everywhere. There's a G, the Templars G, hidden in it. The Swiss Templars cross, the all-seeing eye, octagon. This is the Swiss cross again. This is Alex Jones's stuff with a V of the Templars. It's all hidden in here. And here too, the Templars cross and the Swiss cross in the middle of it. And I'm very sure you'll find more things in it as well. It's all hidden. Symbols don't lie.
And this guy here who's supposed to know all these things, he's telling us about it. I mean, why is he using it? Hey?
The sharing of biased and
false news has become all too common on social media.
More alarming, some media outlets publish these stories simply aren't true without checking facts first.
Unfortunately, some members of the media use their platforms to push their own personal bias and agenda to control exactly what people think. And this is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
It even says, you know, this is quite cynical. Open up your eyes. Huh. So cynical.
Until each in its turn was consumed. And with promises of higher ratings, I'd have mesmerizing media fanning the flames. If I were the devil, I would encourage schools to refine young intellects, but neglect to discipline emotions, just let those run wild. Until before you knew it, you'd have to have drug-sniffing dogs and metal detectors at every schoolhouse door. Within a decade, I'd have prisons overflowing. I'd have judges promoting pornography. Soon I could evict God from the courthouse, then from the schoolhouse, and then from the houses of Congress. And in his own churches, I would substitute psychology for religion and deify science. I would lure priests and pastors into misusing boys and girls and church money. If I were the devil, I'd make the symbol of Easter an egg and the symbol of Christmas a bottle. If I were the devil, I'd take from those who have and give to those who wanted, until I had killed the incentive of the ambitious. What'll you bet? I couldn't get whole states to promote gambling as the way to get rich. I would caution against extremes in hard work, in patriotism, in moral conduct. I would convince the young that marriage is old-fashioned, that swinging is more fun, that what you see on TV is the way to be. And thus I could undress you in public, and I could lure you into bed with diseases for which there is no cure. In other words, if I were the devil, I'd just keep right on doing what he's doing.
So not only does it provide DNA as well as a swab, but it is also a source if you were using tracking dogs to provide a scent for the child.
You may be surprised to see who we found using tricks to cover up their license plates.
Apparently, they're law enforcement.
You know, in Hollywood and in the industry and the stuff we do, there's a lot of like insider secrets to keeping your career going, and a lot of insider secrets to making things tick.
Dear NASA, it's becoming 100% crystal clear that you and the other space programs that are in operation are connected and are deceiving the entire world. More and more people are waking up every single day, and we are now able to see right through you.
How amazed were you to see your roadster up there with Starman just cruising along with the Blue Planet, and how long will we be getting live views, do you think, from the car?
Well, I think it looks so ridiculous and impossible. And you can tell it's real because it looks so fake, honestly.
Keep right on doing what he's doing.
Come on, try getting it out.
Ding, 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 bong.
That's all, folks.
Boom bop doo up, boom boom bop doo up, boom bop doo up, boom boom bop doo up. I can see clearly now the rain is gone. I can see all obstacles in my way. Gone are the dark clouds that had me blind. It's gonna be a bright, bright, sunshiny day. Bop, bop, dum, bop. I think I can make it now. The pain is gone. All of the bad feelings have disappeared. Here comes that rain I've been praying for. It's gonna be a bright, 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 sunshiny day. It's gonna be a bright, 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 sunshiny day. Bop, bop, dum, bop. Ba-dum, ba-dum, bum. Look around, there's nothing but blue sky. Anywhere you go, straight ahead, there's nothing but blue sky. Ba-dum, ba-dum, ba-dum. It's gonna be a bright day. 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 I can see clearly now the rain is gone. I can see all obstacles in my way.